You wake to the soft creak of the Sheiji door sliding open. Pale light filters in through the paper screens, casting faint dappled patterns across the smooth wooden floor of the dojo. The scent of damp earth and cedar drifts in with the morning breeze. You lie still for a moment, wrapped tightly in your thin futon. The floor beneath you is cool. Outside, a crow calls one sharp. Lonely, then silence returns like mist. It is spring in the year 1603, the first of the Tokugawa shogunate. You are 12 years old, a boy, a samurai's son, a student. You sit up slowly, careful not to wake the others. The training hall is still dark. 10 other boys lie sleeping beside you, each rolled tightly in their own blankets, faces turned toward the far wall in disciplined rest. You rise, folding your bedding just so, placing it with precision on the storage shelf beside the wall. Your knees crack slightly as you kneel. A quiet reminder, the body forgets nothing. The silence is sacred. You do not speak, nor do you need to. Words in the morning are like unnecessary brushstrokes, messy. Your bare feet press against the smooth wood as you rise to stand. The hem of your plain blue gi whispers with the movement. You tie your sash in one practiced motion, centering the knot with care. Outside the dojo, the village is already stirring. The faint sound of sandals on stone, a far-off dog barking, the low thunk of a cartwheel over a rut in the road. Smoke begins to curl from a dozen clay chimneys. The smell of miso and barley fills the dawn air, but you will not eat yet. Not until you've earned it. Your sensei stands at the edge of the garden path. He waits, as always, still as a pine. His beard is flecked with silver, his eyes dark as river stones. When you bow, he does not bow back, he only watches. That is enough. Without a word, he turns and leads you toward the courtyard. The gravel crunches softly under your feet. You do not speak. You do not ask how long the lesson will last, or what technique will be taught. That is not your place. You are here to receive, not to question. The morning is for obedience. The afternoon is for mastery. And only in the evening may you think freely. Bamboo groves bend in the breeze beyond the wall. The air carries the scent of wet moss and plum blossoms. You breathe in, then out. Stillness before movement. The first kata begins. You raise your arms, slowly, deliberately, palms open, elbows curved, just so. Each motion flows into the next like a river around stones, never idle. The sword is not yet in your hands, but you carry it in your breath, in the angle of your feet, in the space between each gesture. The other boys join you in the courtyard, one by one, taking their positions silently. No greetings are exchanged. Your breaths fall into rhythm with each other, like wind through trees. It is not a competition. There is no prize for speed, no reward for cleverness. Only discipline. Only presence. Your muscles begin to burn as you transition from stance to stance. The ache in your shoulders is familiar, almost welcome. It reminds you that this is real. That you are real. That pain is not the enemy, but forgetting the lesson is. An hour passes, maybe more. You don't know. The sun rises slowly behind the mountains, casting golden light across the training yard. The shadows grow shorter. Sweat rolls down your back, soaking into the collar of your gi. Your hands tremble, slightly from fatigue, but you hold the final pose, left foot forward, hand extended, eyes level. Your sensei steps silently among the rows of boys, correcting a foot here, adjusting a wrist there. When he passes by you, he says nothing. A flick of his eyes is all. You hold the position a moment longer, then bow low when he signals. You may rest. You lower yourself onto the garden stones, legs folded neatly beneath you. The breeze feels cool against your flushed skin. The scent of wood smoke and cooked rice reaches you again, stronger now. Your stomach tightens with hunger, but breakfast must wait until you've cleaned the courtyard. Brooms appear without orders given. You sweep the stones of fallen leaves and dust. One boy scrubs the wooden practice blades, another smooths footprints from the gravel. You do not speak, but when your hand brushes against another's, you exchange a brief glance, brotherhood, in silence. When the tasks are complete, your sensei nods once. Wordlessly, the group returns to the dining hall. The building is long, low, and simple. Tatami mats cover the floor, You kneel beside your assigned tray, waiting. A servant enters quietly, placing a wooden bowl of rice, a small dish of pickled daikon, and a cup of warm miso broth before you. Nothing more. You bow before the food. Not because it is plentiful, it isn't, but because it is enough. The first bite of rice fills your mouth with warmth. It is slightly sticky, steamed just right. You chew slowly, counting each motion. 1, 2, 3, 20. You were taught that food must be respected. To eat too quickly is to insult the farmer who planted the seed, the woman who washed the grain, the fire that boiled the water. You sip the miso broth, letting the flavor bloom on your tongue. Salty, rich, earthy. The pickled radish crunches sharply between your teeth. You close your eyes briefly. In that moment, nothing else exists. Not the aching in your limbs, not the weight of your father's expectations, not the distant thunder of a world changing beyond the mountains. Only rice, only breath, only silence. After the meal, you bow again. The bowls are taken away. There is no dessert, no chatter, no lingering dot, just the next task. Your sensei stands at the doorway. His presence, as always, is quiet but absolute. He gestures for you all to follow. This morning, you will learn how to sit through pain. You rise, legs stiff, and prepare to endure. To be continued. The sun climbs higher as your sensei leads you to the narrow garden behind the dojo. Here, the ground is raked into precise rows of gravel, broken only by the occasional moss-covered stone or bamboo shoot. The garden is not for beauty. It is for discipline, for breathing. You kneel again, this time facing a flat wooden plank, raised slightly off the ground. It will serve as your seat for the next hour, or more. Your sensei doesn't speak. He simply gestures. The rest of your agyo, a cohort of 10 boys, all between 11 and 13, arrives in silence, kneeling beside you in a long row. You adjust your posture, knees folded neatly, spine straight, hands resting gently on your thighs. The task is simple. Do not move. Do not speak. Do not fidget. Stillness is your lesson now. You exhale slowly, letting the tension in your shoulders melt away. For the first few minutes, the quiet is almost comforting. A breeze stirs the bamboo. Stalks a frog croaks once near the well. Somewhere, a woman sings as she scrubs laundry, her voice soft and steady like water over stones. But then the pain begins. Your knees ache first, followed by the muscles in your lower back. A sharp tingle dances up your spine and settles between your shoulder blades. Your neck stiffens, your ankles burn, your fingers twitch from the effort of staying still. But then the pain begins. You fight the urge to shift your weight. You remind yourself, movement is weakness. Endurance is strength. Every samurai must know how to sit in patience, how to suffer with dignity. It is a lesson older than steel. Next. To you, one boy falters. He exhales sharply and begins to lean forward, but stops just in time. Your sensei watches him with unreadable eyes. He says nothing. Sometimes silence teaches more than words ever could. A bead of sweat rolls down your temple. You feel it pause on your cheek, then slide to your jaw. It itches, but you do not move to wipe it away. You count your breaths instead. 1, 2, 3. At 50, your legs are numb. At 100, your mind begins to wander. You think of home, of your mother's careful hands washing rice in the stream, of your father's quiet footsteps across the wooden floor, of your little sister's laugh as she chases fireflies in the dusk. You wonder what they're doing now, whether they've thought of you, whether they miss you. But such thoughts are dangerous. You pull your focus back to the garden, to the way the shadows shift across the gravel as the sun climbs higher. You count again. 1, 2, 3. Eventually your sensei lifts one hand, slowly, deliberately. A signal. You bow low, wincing as your legs scream in protest. Blood rushes back to your toes in sharp, tingling waves. You try not to grimace. To show pain is to reveal a crack in the armor. You stand, swaying slightly. The boys beside you do the same, their faces pale and drawn. No one complains. No one speaks. Discipline is learned in the quiet. Your next lesson is in writing. You follow your sensei to the calligraphy room, a cool, shaded space with low tables and scrolls, stacked neatly in corners. The smell of ink and pressed rice paper fills the air. Light filters through wooden slats and soft bars, striping the floor like a tiger's coat. You kneel again, muscles sore but obedient. Before you sits a brush, an inkstone, a bowl of water, and a clean sheet of paper. You grind the ink slowly, in small circles on the stone, adding water a drop at a time. The ink turns from gray to black. When it is ready, your sensei speaks the first words of the day. Write your name, with focus, with intention. His voice is deep, even measured. The weight of it settles over the room. You dip the brush, exhale, and draw the first stroke. Your name is not just letters on a page. It is identity, legacy. Your ancestors bore it. Your father bears it. One day your children may bear it. So, you shape each line with care, feeling the way the brush responds to pressure, to angle, to breath. The ink bleeds softly into the paper. No second chances. You finish the final stroke and set the brush down. Your heart beats loud in the quiet. Your sensei walks among the boys, examining their work. He pauses at yours. His eyes narrow slightly. Acceptable, he says. A single word, but it fills your chest like spring rain fills a dry riverbed. Later, you practice with the book and your wooden training sword in the gravel yard behind the dojo. This time, the lesson is movement. Each swing must be precise, not flashy, not fast, just right. You practice the downward cut, then the rising parry, then the thrust, over and over. When your arms begin to shake, you tighten your grip. When your shoulders scream, you breathe deeper. When your stance falters, your sensei taps your foot with the tip of his own to correct it. He says nothing. He doesn't need to. You learn by repetition, by presence, by doing. At midday, the bell chimes from the village tower. It is time for lunch. You file into the mess hall once again. The same meal waits. A bowl of steamed barley rice, pickled root vegetables, a ladle of thin miso soup. No meat, no indulgence, no change, and yet it is enough. You eat in silence. In the afternoon, you fetch water from the stream. You carry 2 buckets suspended from a yoke across your shoulders. The weight presses into your collarbone. With every step, water sloshes. You learn to walk smoothly, carefully, with attention. Even carrying water can be a lesson in balance. Later, you sweep the temple steps, weed the garden, scrub the dojo floor. Work is constant. Rest is earned, only as dusk settles, and the cicadas begin to sing. Do you return to the sleeping quarters? You kneel once more to fold your futon outside. The stars emerge one by one across a pale indigo sky. You lie down at last, pulling your thin blanket up to your chest. The day's pain lingers in your muscles. Your fingers ache. Your legs throb, but in your chest, a quiet pride blooms. You endured. You moved with discipline. You spoke only when needed. You did not cry. You did not fail. As your eyes grow heavy and your breath slows, you remember your father's quiet nod the day you entered training. He didn't speak then. He rarely does. But tonight, maybe, when you return home and kneel beside him at the fire, he will say something. Maybe he won't. Either way, you will have earned his silence and his respect. Sleep now. You awaken before the first crow call. The air in the dojo is still thick with the scent of tatami mats and wood smoke clinging faintly to the rafters. Around you, the other boys lie motionless beneath their thin blankets, their breath quiet and even. You lie there for a moment, staring at the wooden beams overhead, listening. You're no longer the newest student. That thought stirs something strange and small inside you. Not pride, exactly, but a shift. A weight that's become familiar. You rise without a sound, rolling your bedding into a tight bundle. Your knees pop as you stand. Muscles ache where they always ache, and bruises still bloom on your shins and forearms from yesterday's Bakken drills. But pain too has become familiar, like the roughness of your red cloak, or the cold sting of the river at dawn. You slide open the Sheiji door and step into the courtyard outside. The world is wrapped in pre-dawn hush. A thin mist clings to the moss along the stone walls. Somewhere beyond the village, an ox bellows. The earth beneath your bare feet is cool and firm, scattered with tiny pebbles that press sharply into your soles. You welcome it. Today will be no different than yesterday. That is a comfort. The first task is the fire. You make your way to the kitchen hut, where steam is already rising from a clay chimney. An older servant kneels beside the stove, her back straight, despite her age. She nods to you, but says nothing as you approach. You kneel, gather the wood from the stack, and begin feeding the flame. Each log is placed with care, no quick tosses, no careless noise. The warmth creeps across your hands, slowly, and with it comes the faint, welcome smell of roasted grain and dashi broth. When the water begins to boil, you rise and bow once. The servant bows back. A silent exchange of respect. You return to the courtyard, just as your sensei emerges from the inner hall. He does not speak. You kneel. The others have joined by now, forming two quiet rows in the gravel. You sit straight, eyes lowered, waiting. Your sensei walks the line. His sandals make a soft brushing sound against the stones. Then, draw a breath. A single command. You obey, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through your mouth. You follow his pace, breathing as he does. Matching rhythm, it becomes a chant without sound. Inhale, exhale. Again, again, until your thoughts begin to thin and scatter. Like mist under sun. When your mind is still, your sensei says softly, "Your sword cannot be taken from you." He turns, and with a gesture, leads the group to the wooded path behind the training yard. Today is a hunting day. You've done this twice before. You know what to expect. No bows, no traps, only a short wooden knife in your hands. You walk single file down the narrow forest trail, under tall cedars. Their trunks rise like pillars in a temple. Birds flit overhead, their songs weaving in and out of the hush. This is not sport. This is not for play. This is for understanding hunger. You walk for a long time, long enough for the air to warm and the sun to stretch its fingers through the trees. Sweat forms beneath your cloak, sticking it to your back. Insects buzz near, your ears ignored. Your sensei finally stops. He points to a clearing, thick with brush and still with the scent of rabbit trails. You have until sundown, he says. Return with something, or return with nothing. And then he leaves you. You crouch low, listening. The forest is alive in ways the village is not. Everything here watches. Everything hides. Even the wind knows how to move without sound. You wait. A long time passes. Your stomach growls, reminding you of the single rice ball you were allowed this morning. Hunger sharpens you. A twig snaps to your right. You freeze. A shape darts through the underbrush, a hair, quick and silent. You ease forward, knife gripped in your palm, heart racing. You crawl on elbows and knees, feeling every leaf and stick beneath you. When the hare pauses to sniff the air, you lunge. Your hand misses. The hare vanishes in a blur of fur. You fall hard into the leaves, face stinging, hands scraped. But you don't cry out. You lie there, breathing. The shame rises in your throat, hot and bitter. But then you remember. Failure is part of learning. You rise again. Slowly this time. You track longer, moving with more care. You watch the ground. You look for the tiniest bent stem, the smallest print in the soft earth. Hours pass. The sun creeps across the sky. Finally, in the hush of mid-afternoon, you see it. A nest of quail near a clump of tall grass. One bird pecks gently at seeds. No. More than a few feet away. You crawl. You stop. You wait until the wind moves. Then you strike. Your knife finds its mark. It is not a clean kill, but it is done. You carry the bird carefully back to the village, wrapped in your cloak. Blood seeps into the fabric. It feels warm, heavy, sacred. Your sensei awaits in the courtyard. You kneel before him, holding out the quail in both hands. He takes it, studies it, then nods. Clean it, cook it, share it with your brothers. You bow low. In the kitchen you prepare the bird, as you were taught, gutting, washing, roasting over a clay brazier. The other boys gather, watching. One fetches miso paste. Another brings wild onions from the training garden. The fire crackles. The smell of roasting meat rises in the air. It's a small meal, barely enough for one, but you divide it equally. Among 5 boys your age mates, your agio, when you taste your bite. It's salty and smoky, and hot enough to burn your tongue. You chew slowly. This is not just food. This is the taste of effort, of stillness, of patience, of being a little less, of a boy, and a little more of something else. You clean the brazier afterward. You wash your hands in silence. You bow to your brothers before sleep. Tonight, as you lie down on your futon, you do not dream of home. You dream of the forest, of the weight of the knife in your hand, of the silence between breaths, of the small, fierce fire that grows quietly inside you. Tomorrow, you will kneel again. You will bow again. And when the bamboo creaks in the morning wind, you will rise without hesitation. To be continued. Before the sky lightens, before the crows stir, before the first kettle boils over a cooking fire, you are already awake. You lie still, wrapped in the hush of early morning, listening to the breath of the sleeping boys around you. Some snore. Softly one twitches in his sleep, muttering a name you don't recognize. The night air clings to the inside of the dojo like a second skin, cool, still, watchful. Somewhere outside, a bamboo chime stirs in the breeze, its sound hollow and sweet. Your legs are sore from yesterday's hunt. The shallow cut on your palm, from gutting the quail hitches beneath the cloth wrap. But there is no time for soreness. There is no time for indulgent thought. The day has already begun. Whether the sun has risen or not, you rise quietly, careful not to disturb the boy sleeping closest to you. You fold your blanket into a tight square and place it on the low shelf with the others. Your feet touch the wooden floor, and the chill reaches up your spine, but you don't flinch. You welcome it. Pain is part of the rhythm. Today will bring something new, you don't know what. That knowledge, its absence, makes your stomach flutter in a way you cannot show. The seiji door slides open. The sensei stands framed in moonlight. He says nothing. You bow deeply. Hold it, then straighten and follow him outside. The courtyard is silver in the moon's last light. Dew collects on the raked gravel. A lantern flickers in the kitchen window, casting amber shadows against the paper screen. No one else is awake yet. Your sensei walks without looking back, and you follow. Past the training yard, past the calligraphy room, past the bamboo grove, into the trees. It is quiet here, so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat and the soft crunch of your footsteps against the pine needles. The wind whispers through the tall branches above, stirring the tips but leaving the forest floor untouched. He leads you deeper than you've gone before then. Finally he stops. Before you is a small clearing, surrounded by cedar and moss-covered stones. In the center, a ring of flat stones and a pile of fresh wood. No fire, just wood and earth and a sky, slowly shifting from charcoal to navy. Your sensei gestures for you to sit. You do. He sits across from you, legs folded neatly, hands resting on his knees. You match him. Your posture is imperfect, but you do not fidget. You do not look away. The silence stretches. Then, he speaks. You are no longer the newest. His voice is quiet, like the murmur of a brook beneath snow. Soon, new boys will come. They will know nothing. They will be hungry, foolish, afraid. As you were, you do not speak. You feel your breath catch slightly at the base of your throat. Some of them will fail, he continues. Some will run. Some will break. He looks at you. You will not. You feel a warmth at his words. Not pride, not happiness, but something steadier. A stone sinking into still water. You nod. Your sensei takes 2 sticks from beside the fire ring and strikes them. Together, again, again. The sharp clack echoes through the clearing. Eventually a spark catches. He leans forward and feeds it patiently with shavings, twigs, then thicker pieces. No sudden movements. No rush. The fire is coaxed, not commanded. It takes time, but in time, the fire comes. Make this part of your practice, he says, watching the flames rise. Not just swords, not just posture, but this. He places a kettle above the flames. We serve, we prepare. We make warmth for others. You bow, and then you sit with him in silence, watching the fire crackle into full flame. The heat washes over your face, warm and slow, and the smell of pine and smoke fills the clearing. When the tea is ready, he pours 2 cups, one for him, one for you. He raises his. You do the same. This too is training. Later that morning, you return to the village as the sky turns pale orange behind the ridgeline. Your sensei vanishes into the inner temple without a word. You enter the courtyard alone. The others are already forming rows. Your age mates glance at you. Some nod. One Takeshi, the tallest boy in your cohort, smiles briefly. A rare gesture. You take your place. The Irene enters a senior student who oversees your daily training. He is 17, maybe 18, tall and narrow-eyed, with a jaw like cut stone. You've seen him break a wooden target with a single strike. You've seen him run barefoot up the mountainside without slowing. He says only one word: test. There is no need to ask what kind. You bow, and the test begins first. Balance. You are made to walk the length of a thin log suspended between 2 boulders. Barefoot, arms extended, eyes forward. The log shifts beneath your weight. You feel the wind tug at your cloak. You focus on the sound of your breath. You pass. Next. Speed. You are ordered to run a full lap around the village walls barefoot, of course through rocky paths, muddy patches, over the cold stream and back. You run. Your feet slip once on a mossy stone, but you recover. You reach the finish, breathing hard, chest burning. You pass, then strength push-ups on your knuckles, until the Irene says stop. Then, holding your bakken overhead for as long as you can. Then sparring. You face Takeshi first. He's stronger than you, taller. His strikes land heavy, but you endure. You keep your feet. You protect your centerline. You fall once, but you rise. You fall again. You rise faster. After the 4th round, the Irene nods. Pass. He says. The word hangs in the air like a drumbeat. By mid-afternoon, your body feels like melted wax poured into a skin of bruises. But you do not show it. The final part of the test is the endurance posture. Kneeling, arms extended forward, palms facing up. For 1 full hour you begin. The sun beats down. Sweat beads on your forehead. Your arms tremble. Your knees scream. But you do not lower them. A boy 2 places to your left drops his arms. The Irenes switch lashes across his shoulders. Once, twice. He grits his teeth, lowers his eyes, raises his arms again. You keep yours steady. When the hour ends, the Irene looks over the line. He nods once. Enough. That night, after evening rice, you're called into the inner garden. A senior monk waits beneath the lantern tree. He gives you your first real tantua short dagger in a black lacquered sheath. The blade is dull, not sharpened. It will not be used in battle. Not yet, but it is yours. It is a symbol. You bow low to receive it. Later, you sit alone under the tree, the dagger resting in your lap. The night hums around you, crickets breeze, the faint ripple of the nearby stream. You draw the blade from its sheath. It catches the moonlight in a long, silent gleam. You remember your mother's words before you left. To be sharp does not mean to cut. To be brave does not mean to strike. Hold yourself like a blade, and let the world learn your edge in time. You sheath the blade and stand. Your place in the ajo is no longer questioned. You return to the barracks. You sleep soundly when you wake. It is not from pain, it is from the sound of younger footsteps. New boys have arrived. You watch from the threshold as they step through the gate, clumsy, wide, dash-eyed. One trips and scrapes his knee. No one helps him. That's the way of things. But you, for a moment, feel your hand twitch, as if to reach toward him. You do not. Instead, you step into line, shoulder to shoulder, with your brothers. The new season begins, and with it, the cycle continues. Silence, discipline, pain, bread, stillness, fire, stillness, fire, each day. It deepens in you, not knowledge, exactly, but presence. You begin to speak less. You begin to move differently. More like your sensei. Your gestures grow deliberate. You no longer need praise to know you've done something well. You feel it in the shape of your breath, the stillness of your thoughts. One night, weeks later, your father visits. It is the first time you've seen him since your training began. He does not speak as he enters the garden. He sits beside you beneath the lantern tree. You offer him tea. He accepts. The silence between you is full, heavy, not with sadness, with witnessing. He watches you as you pour. He watches your grip, your posture, the way you breathe. He nods once. It is the only approval you need. As he leaves, he places something into your hand, a folded scrap of cloth, old and worn. You unfold it later. Alone inside is your mother's hair ribbon, dyed indigo, frayed at the ends, a reminder of home. You tuck it into your sash. You sleep that night with the sound of bamboo creaking in the wind, the whisper of the dagger at your side, and the quiet knowledge that you are not the boy who first arrived. Not anymore, to be continued. You are 12 now, not yet a man, not quite a boy. 3 winters have passed since your first morning in the aguio. Your shoulders have broadened, your hands are harder. The ache of hunger is no longer a stranger, but a quiet companion. You have grown into the silence, into the discipline. The days begin and end, as they always have, with cold water, stillness, and the sound of the wind moving through bamboo this morning. However, there is a change. It begins with a summons. You are kneeling in the courtyard, practicing stillness before breakfast, when an Irene approaches. He speaks your name with clarity, not loud, but enough for everyone to hear. Your breath stills. Yes, you reply. You will accompany the sensei to the village shrine. A dozen pairs of eyes flick toward you, but no one speaks. You bow and rise. The path to the shrine leads up a steep wooded slope behind the dojo, through cedar groves and old stone markers weathered with moss. You've passed it before, during training runs, but you've never entered. It's a place of spirits, of memory. The sensei says nothing as you follow him up the trail. He walks slowly, deliberately. You match his pace. The forest is thick with the scent of pine needles and earth. Birds call softly in the canopy above. A fox slips across the path and vanishes into undergrowth, silent as smoke. When you reach the top, the shrine appears small, ancient, half hidden behind twisted cypress trees. Its wooden gate leans with age, and the bell rope sways in the wind. Your sensei stops before the steps. This is where the dead are honored, he says quietly, where the names of our ancestors are spoken. You bow low before the gate. He does the same. Inside the shrine, incense curls into the still air. Tatami mats line the floor. In the center, a single candle burns before a small altar, where wooden plaques are stacked in a careful row. The sensei kneels. You follow. He removes a new plaque from his sleeve and places it on the altar. This morning, he says, the family of one of our brothers has sent word. His grandfather passed during the night. He was once a samurai of this village. He trained here, as you do now. He gestures toward the incense. You will light it. Your fingers are steady as you lift the match and touch it to the tip of the stick. It flares, then smolders, releasing a thin spiral of smoke that coils toward the rafters. You bow. This is what we protect, he says. Not land, not wealth, but memory, the path, the flame of those who walked before us. You sit together for a long time. When you descend the hill, the village lies spread below like a painting brushed in morning light. The rooftops glow golden, and the fields shimmer with wind-swept rice. You feel something shift inside you. Not a great awakening, just a deeper root, an understanding made of quiet things. That night, after supper, your age-mates gather around a brazier behind the barracks. Someone has hidden sweet potatoes beneath the coals, and the smell draws them like moths. You sit among them, eating slowly, letting the warmth of food and fire soften the edge of the cold. The new boys are quieter now. They've stopped crying. In the dark, most have learned to rise without being told. One of them, Haruki, a boy of 10, sits beside you. His hands are thin. His cloak is too large. He still limps slightly from when he slipped during river drills. You went to the shrine today, he says. You nod. What's it like? You consider. Quiet, you say, but not empty. He nods, not understanding, but trying to. Later, after the fire dies down and the others drift off to sleep, you remain. The coals glow like stars in the ash dot. You take the folded ribbon from your sash, your mother's ribbon, and hold it gently in your palm. It's faded now, softened by time, but it remains, like the incense smoke in the shrine, like the path you walk every morning, like the breath between sword forms. In silence, you bow your head, and when you sleep, your dreams are not filled with fire or war, but with rice paddies at dusk, the sound of sandals on gravel, the smell of cedar and ink. Tomorrow, training will resume. The Irene will strike your wrist when your grip is too loose. Your sensei will frown when your breathing falters. You will run until your legs ache. You will kneel until your toes go numb. But you will not yield. You will rise with the sun and bow to the world as the world bows back in wind and quiet in memory. To be continued. The cicadas are gone. The rains of late summer have passed, and the wind now carries the first sense of autumn smoke from burning leaves, the damp weight of moss, a hint of pine needles drying in the sun. You wake before the others, as always, but something in the morning feels sharper, more brittle. Allay. Season is turning. You dress in silence, the fabric of your GI stiff from yesterday's sweat, and slip out of the barracks without waking the younger boys. A heron stands knee-deep in the stream beyond the courtyard, its reflection flickering with the current. It watches you. You bow to it. The path to the dojo crunches beneath your bare feet. There's frost on the edges of the stones now, just a thin dusting, the first of the year. Your breath fogs in front of you. You draw it in and hold it a moment, feeling the way the cold threads through your chest. You are 13 in 4 days. The thought surprises you. Not because you forgot, but because the number feels unimportant. There will be no celebration, no offerings, no sweets. 13 is not a destination. It's another milepost on the endless path, inside the dojo. Your sensei kneels alone in zazen. You enter without sound, bow deeply, and take your place beside him. The silence stretches long. Then, what do you seek this morning? He asks, eyes still closed. You consider center, you say? Stillness. His lips curve in the faintest smile. Then you are already closer than most. The meditation lasts until the sun rises fully above the treetops. The light slices through the narrow windows, catching on the dust motes in golden shafts. When the bell chimes, your muscles are stiff, but your mind is calm. You rise and bow again. Today's lesson is on JUTSU-archery. A visiting sensei from a nearby province leads the class, his robes marked with the emblem of a white crane. He speaks softly, but his movements are exact. His presence feels like the coiled weight of a drawn bow. Kujitsu is not about hitting the target, he says. It is about the moment before the string is released. All truth lives there. You spend the next 3 hours learning how to stand, not just how to position your feet, but how to root them into the earth. You learn to breathe, not just to draw air, but to do so without disturbing your aim. You learn to see not just the straw target, but the space between you and it. The pull of the wind, the stillness of your heartbeat. Only when all of this is understood are you given a bow. Your arms ache with the draw. The string bites into your fingers, but when you release, the arrow flies clean. It misses the target. You nod. It doesn't matter. You reload. At midday, a courier arrives from the daimyo's stronghold. He carries news wrapped in silk and sealed with red wax. The village elder receives it in silence and disappears into the inner temple. That evening, your sensei calls the senior students together. You kneel on the stones, firelight flickering across your faces. He addresses you with his hands folded in his lap. The daimyo scouts have seen movement near the northern border, he says. Bandits or ronin, no one knows yet. A boy beside you straightens slightly. Will we be sent? No, the sensei replies. But you will prepare as though you are. Tomorrow, your training will shift. You will begin night drills and watch rotations. The sword is no longer just a lesson. It may become necessity. A stillness settles over the circle. You do not feel fear, only alertness. That night, as you lie on your reed mat, you think of your mother. You wonder where she is, if she is well. If she lights a candle each night the way she used to. You imagine her hands, rough from work but gentle when they placed the ribbon in your palm. You hold it now, tucked inside your cloak. It grounds you. Just before sleep takes you, you hear footsteps approach. It's Haruki, the boy who once asked about the shrine. He's older now, sharper. He kneels beside you and whispers, "I saw a fox today, near the stream, it watched me." You nod. "They do that," you say. He hesitates. "What does it mean?" You pause. "It means you were still enough to be seen." He smiles in the dark. Then he returns to his mat. You close your eyes, and the village breathes around you, soft, cold, full of possibility. To be continued. You crouch in the shadow of the garden wall, your fingers resting on the cool stone, your breath slow and even. Above, the moon is a narrow, sickly enough light to see, but not enough to give you away. The world smells of damp cedar and charcoal. Smoke. Tonight is your first real night watch. You volunteered. The Irene said nothing, just nodded and handed you a torch stub and a wooden clapper used for signaling. Now, you patrol the outer edges of the temple grounds, barefoot, listening, watching. Your eyes adjust quickly. The forest is not silent. Owls call from the ridge. Bamboo groans and clicks in the wind. Somewhere down by the stream, a deer steps into the shallows, drinks, then vanishes again into the dark. Nothing stirs near the gates. Still, you do not relax. The teachings are clear. Danger does not always make a sound. Halfway through your shift, you pause beneath the bell tower. The great bronze bell looms above you, its lip dark with rain stains. You lean against the post, careful not to let your body rest too fully. Even now, even in this quiet, your muscles stay coiled. You listen, and that's when you hear it. Not from the forest, from inside the wall. A scuff, faint but distinct. You freeze. It's not the sound of animals. Too careful. You step silently toward the old storehouse near the rear garden. The door hangs, slightly ajar. You move closer. Inside, a flicker of light brief. Like someone shielding a candle. You exhale once through your nose, center your balance, and slide the door open fully. Two figures whip around. Haruki and another boy, Kanta, from the new age mates. They're huddled over a cloth bundle, rice cakes, dried fish, and a half-emptied jar of sweet plum wine. Your eyes meet. Haruki's. He says nothing. You say nothing. This is not a small offense. This is theft, not from a neighbor, from the village storehouse, from the path. Kenta starts to speak something about hunger, about the cold butt. Haruki silences him with a glance. He looks back at you. You hear the lesson from your first year echo in your mind. When one breaks the silence, all must feel the echo. When one steals, all carry the hunger. You kneel. The boys flinch. Uncertain, you take the cloth bundle and rewrap it. Then you stand. You have 5 breaths. You whisper, to return to your mats. They scramble out into the night without a word. You carry the bundle to the barracks and quietly place it at the feet of the Irene's door. At dawn, the switch will fall, not on you, not only on them. All of you will run. All of you will carry water from the upstream to refill the tubs. All of you will miss breakfast. It is the way. And when the sun rises and the Irene strikes the switch across your shoulders for the first lash, you do not flinch. Neither does Haruki afterward. You sit beside each other near the stream, rinsing your bruises in the cold water. He doesn't speak. He doesn't apologize. You don't ask. But when he rises to leave, he bows, a deep one, and you return it. Later that evening, the sensei gathers you and the other oldest students in the calligraphy hall. It is candlelit, quiet. Inkpots wait at each station. Long, clean sheets of rice paper lie ready. We write now what we would not yet say aloud, the sensei says. He walks behind you, placing a brush in your hand. Name your doubt, he says, and shape it. For a long moment, your brush hovers above the paper. Then you begin. You write, calm fear, but not of pain, not of death. The the fear that you will never be more than this, that you are only discipline, only silence, that somewhere, beyond these mountains, people live differently, laugh freely, speak without thinking. You finish the stroke and bow over the paper when the sensei returns. He looks once at your work, then moves on. He doesn't need to say anything. The ink says, enough. That night, you sit under the lantern tree, with your dull-bladed tanto resting on your knees. You think of the storehouse. You think of your choice. You think of how many more years may stretch ahead, and you wonder, not for the first time, what shape your silence will take when you leave this place. But for now, you breathe, you bow to the moon, and you sleep. To be continued. It comes down from the northern ridge, dry and restless, scattering pine needles across the temple courtyard. You sweep them before the others wake, your broom catching on the stones. Each motion slow, intentional. The way you were taught. You were almost 14, older now than some of the Arone when you first arrived. Your hands have changed, and precise. Your posture, once boyish and hesitant, is now measured. You have become a blade still in its sheath, waiting at breakfast. The barley is thin, and the miso pale. Rations are being stretched again. No one complains. That afternoon, the village elder visits the dojo. He arrives with 2 ash-gray dogs and a servant bearing a lacquered scroll case. Everyone kneels as he enters. Even the sensei bows deeply. The border winds shift. The elder says there is movement near the river valleys. The shogun sends word for preparation. Nothing yet, but readiness. His eyes fall on you and the other oldest students. It is time to learn the walk of the mountain. A few of the younger boys glance up, puzzled. But you and Haruki exchange a look. You've heard the phrase before, always whispered, always. Paired with stories of vanished warriors and night paths. That evening, your group gathers in the woods behind the temple. 10 of you, old enough to wield real blades, too young to wear them in public. The Irene lead you through cedar groves and steep trails until you arrive at a clearing none of you knew existed. There, waiting, is a man you've never seen. He wears no emblem, no color. His robes are the gray of fog. His hair is bound high in the old style, and his sword is plain. He nods to the Arone. They bow, then leave. The man turns to you. I am Tetsu. He says nothing else for a long time. The wind whispers through the trees. Finally, he speaks. Everything until now has been form, structure, foundation. Tonight begins the part of your training that cannot be taught. It must be endured. He draws his sword, not fast, not flashy. Just a simple pull. The blade catches the firelight like water. You will follow me into the forest. We will not return until the sun rises. No questions, no objections. You bow. The walk begins. At first, it's only steep paths and darkness. The moon rises behind a screen of clouds, painting the forest in slate and silver. Branches claw your arms. Rocks bruise your feet. No one speaks. After the second hour, Tetsu stops beside a stream. Without looking back, he says, each of you must cross alone. No light, no sound. If you fall in, you return to the start. He steps across 5 narrow stones, hidden under water, and moss-sand disappears into the trees beyond, one by one. You go. When it's your turn, you kneel. Feel for each stone. Test the water. It's bitterly cold. You slip once, but catch yourself. When you reach the far bank, your breath shakes in your chest. You don't feel proud, only colder. Tetsu says nothing when you arrive, just nods by midnight. You are deep into forest no one names. The trees are taller here, hung with lichen and stories. You rest in a circle of fallen leaves. Tetsu builds no fire. Instead, he speaks. When we say a samurai is loyal, he begins. We do not mean he obeys without thought. We mean he obeys with understanding. That he chooses duty again and again, even when alone. Especially when alone. He looks at each of you. A warrior without discipline is a sword without a hand. Dangerous, directionless. A silence follows. Then, he says, one of you must stand guard, alone, for the rest of the night. Choose. No one moves. Then Haruki speaks. I will. You watch him rise. No cloak, no warmth. He disappears into the darkness beyond the clearing. The rest of you lie, down on pine needles and stone. You do not sleep. You lie with eyes open, watching clouds shift overhead. You think of the fox, of the shrine, of your mother's voice, long faded in memory. You think of the quiet that grows inside you, steady, solid, when dawn finally breaks. Pale and shivering, Tetsu calls for you to rise. Haruki returns. His lips are blue, but he walks tall. Etsu nods. You may return now. The path will be yours to find. He turns and vanishes. No goodbye, no final lesson. Just the wind and the forest, and your own footsteps leading back to the village when you return. The others are already preparing rice. No one asks where you've been. No one has to. They see it. In your eyes, that night, as you clean your tanto blade under the lantern tree. Haruki sits beside you. I thought I'd fall asleep, he says, but I didn't. You nod. You didn't, because it mattered. He smiles, tired in the distance. The temple bell rings for evening prayer. You do not rise. You sit in silence. Not because you are told to, but because the quiet is now yours. To be continued. The rice harvest begins. From the ridge above the village. You watch the fields ripple like silk under the wind, golden and heavy. Men and women in straw hats bend low, slicing stalks with curved blades. Laughter carries from the paddies, mingled with birdsong and the swish of sickles. You and the older boys are not in the fields. You are with Sensei today. You return to the forge. It sits at the edge of the village. Near the foot of the mountain, a squat stone building, with a clay chimney and soot-blackened walls. You've been here before, as children, to carry charcoal or bellows, but never to touch the metal until now. Inside, the air is thick with heat and hammer song. Sparks bloom in the shadows as the blacksmith, Osamu, works a glowing bar of steel. His arms are corded with muscle. His eyes are black and sharp. He nods once when you enter, then returns to the anvil. Sensei speaks. No warrior lives by sword alone. You must understand its making to respect its weight. You will each shape a blade simple, small, not for battle, for truth. You bow. The next 2 weeks blur. Days begin with rice and miso, but end with fire and steel. You learn to fold iron into layers, to strike while the metal is red, to wait when it cools too fast. Haruki ruins his first blade by rushing the quench. It warps, bends like a sickle. He stares at it for a long time before setting it down. Osamu says nothing. Failure is part of the forge. You burn your fingers, split, a knuckled sleep with the echo of hammers in your ears. But you also feel something. Grow heat that has nothing to do with fire. A connection between hand and craft. Between silence and spark. On the 10th day, your blade is ready. Simple, straight, balanced. You bow as Osamu wraps it in rice paper and hands it to you with both hands. You shape this, he says. As you shape yourself, you carry it back to the dojo as if it were a flame. That night, Sensei calls you to the riverbank. The moon is full. It shimmers across the surface. Silver and calm. He kneels. You kneel across from him. This is where your father stood, he says. Before he left, you blink. He has never spoken of your father before. Sensei continues. He trained here, like you, in this same place. He was not the best with sword or bow, but he was the most patient, the most still. You stare at the water, unsure what to feel. You have his eyes, Sensei says. Then he places a small lacquered box on the grass. Inside, your father's hair ribbon, folded neatly. You bow, head low to the earth. Your blade, Sensei says, is not for others. Not yet. It is for you. Carry it during your next 10 meditations. After that, decide where to keep it. The next morning, you do as told. You kneel under the lantern tree, your blade resting across your lap, the first day. You feel only the weight of it. Sharp, cold. The second day, your hands fidget. The third, you forget it's there. By the 5th, it becomes breath. By the 10th, it is part of you. You wrap it once more in rice paper and place it in the temple alcove, not because you no longer need it, but because you know when to set it down. The Irene nods when he sees. One evening, after chores, you and Haruki sit beneath the threshold arch, watching bats dip across the dusk sky. Do you think we'll leave soon? He asks. You shrugged. Leave when they say, stay until then. He chuckles. You sound like an old monk. You smile. You walk like one. He laughs louder. For a moment, you are boys again. Then a bell rings from the distant fields, and your eyes, sharpened together. You rise. Training waits. So does the world. To be continued. You wake before the bell. The air is cool, edged with wood smoke. Autumn has deepened. The maples by the stream are red now, their leaves drifting silently into the water. You rise from your mat and dress in slow, practiced movements. Every fold of your GI, every knot in your belt, is part of the form. You know, this morning is different. Not because anyone said so, but because you feel it. Sensei is waiting outside, standing beneath the lantern tree. He wears his formal robe dark blue, embroidered only at the collar. You bow deeply. Come, he says. You follow him down the stone path toward the rear temple gate. Haruki waits there, along with 3 other boys your age. All of you carry only your traveling cloaks and a single wrapped bundle. Your blades, not weapons. Yet but proof that you've endured, that you've watched the lantern flicker for 6 seasons, that you've walked the path through rain and silence and frost. Sensei opens the gate. For the first time in 7 years, it leads outward, down the valley, toward the world. He speaks you. Leave today as young men of the path. Not masters. Not warriors. Not yet, but ready. You stand straighter. He turns to Haruki. Walk with honor then to you. Remember the silence. It will speak when you cannot. You bow. All of you do. Then quietly, without fanfare, you begin to walk. The trail winds through cedar woods, past shrines you remember from your earliest lessons. The trees thin, and the valley opens into terraced fields and smoke-gray villages. You walk without speaking. There is nothing to say. You know each other's breathing, each other's pace. At dusk, you reach a small wayhouse. Inside, warmth, rice, a single lamp. A traveler shares his bench with you. He asks where you come from. Haruki answers simply, the North Mountain Temple. The man bows. Then I eat with good company tonight. You eat slowly, respectfully. When the man leaves, Haruki nudges your arm. He bowed, he says, smiling. You nod. You spend that night under the stars. The stars feel different here, closer, less, muffled by the high mountains. The wind is sharper, the ground harder, but sleep comes quickly. You are used to resting where you can, in the morning. The group parts. 2 boys head east, toward a river province. Another heads west, seeking a coastal stronghold. Haruki turns to you. Do you know where you'll go? You shake your head. No. He grins. Me either. You walk together a while longer, then stop near a fork in the road. You'll find your place, he says. You look at the worn trail ahead. You already have. Haruki claps your shoulder, then walks on, whistling softly. You watch until he disappears behind a bend. Then you choose a path. South toward the mountain border, where the daimyo sends scouts in the villages. Speak of wolves and fog. It feels right. You walk alone now, but you do not feel alone. At dusk, you arrive at a hillside temple, crumbling but still standing. The monks there welcome you with hot tea and space beside the brazier. You do not mention your training. They do not ask. In the morning, you help chop firewood and repair a broken roof beam. One monk notices the blade in your pack, still wrapped. You carry steel, he says. You nod, but not for war, you reply. He smiles. Then you carry it well. Days pass. You move from village to village, offering help, sharing meals, listening. Some towns are wary at first. Others embrace you instantly. You fix a grain wheel in one. In another, you guard a shrine from foxes that come each night for offerings, in time. You are called Oniasin, older brother. A child gives you a carved acorn. A grandmother sews a new sash. You stay until the job is done, then you move on. One morning, deep in a mist-covered valley, you see a boy practicing katas in an empty field. His movements are clumsy, but there is discipline in them. You step closer. He notices you, pauses, double quotes. Was that wrong? He asks, embarrassed. You nod, but smile. He bows. Will you show me? You do. You stay 3 weeks. When you leave, he bows again. This time, properly. Years pass. Word of you spreads not as a swordsman, but as a helper. A walker of quiet paths. A listener. A silent strength. People begin calling you sensei. At first you refuse, but then, one winter, a village elder hands you a scroll with your name and sealed. You bowed and accept. One spring morning, you find yourself returning north. The road is familiar, worn smooth by your feet. By time, the temple appears through fog, just as you remember it. Haruki waits at the gate. His hair is longer, his eyes deeper. He bows. You bow together. You walk beneath the lantern tree. There, in the earth beneath the roots, you bury your old blade. No longer needed, not because you are no longer a warrior, but because you have become more. You sit together, sipping tea. The silence wraps around you like a second cloak. And you understand at last. The path does not end. It becomes you.